It's episode 27 of Beyond the Blast Doors, a Star Wars show, podcast, YouTube channel. Whatever you want us to be, we'll be that for you. Made by fans, for fans. I'm one of your hosts, David Amilati. Joined with me is David Gilbert and Mr. Jesse Buck. And the three of us are still recovering from, that is, Wizard World St. Louis. It was a great event. It's a 3-day event. We were there from 11 in the morning until 8:30 at night. We got some Jack and Box afterwards. But it was a lot of fun. David, it was your first con.
It was. You guys took my cherry, and it was lovely. And I had a blast.
No, you got to meet a man crush. Is that fair to say? John Barrowman is your man crush?
From Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Super stoked to meet him. Very personable guy. Saw his panel show, which was great. Got to take a picture with him, which was expensive yet totally worth it. It's now the centerpiece in my tiny little apartment, and it was fun.
You know, I like the excitement that you're having on this episode. I mean, it helps that we don't have like working microphones. But the fact, like you are really just beaming with excitement, and I love it. I love it. Jesse, you got to show off recent upgrades to your Mandalorian cosplay, and I'm judging by the dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of photos. It was pretty successful.
Yeah, you know, I was kind of skeptical at first because cosplay in its own way is an art form. So, you know, like as an artist, you know, you're sitting there going like, how are people going to critique, what you did and everything. The worst part is the entire time I'm walking around, you're thinking about that, and then like there's little things that you begin to notice that aren't working so well. Like, for example, my red sash belt kept kind of drooping and everything, and it's just kind of like, okay, that's something to put on the to-do list to fix and everything. But overall though, I think it was a successful 2 years worth of modifications and upgrading and everything. So I knew going into it that there was going to end up being something at least wrong.
You know, like, you're complaining a lot, but you had literally like at least 200 people come up and ask for photos. That was pretty cool.
Maybe more. I lost track probably after the first 10 or 15. It really was a lot.
I think the answer I was looking for, Jesse, is I had a really fun time meeting so many cool people at Wizard World.
I did. I met a great group of cosplayers. I believe they're called Terrible Trio Cosplay or Creations. Sorry if I butchered the name, but I had a lot of fun hanging out with that group of people. I ran into a 501st member. I did run into an official Mandalorian merc who was doing a Deathstroke cosplay at this particular convention. But I got positive reviews from them concerning my armor. I think once I correct some of these mistakes, I may throw my application at the mercs.
I'll tell you what, I'd only seen the helmet, and when you got into the parking garage and we pulled everything out of my trunk, and you had David on one side of you and I was on the other side of you helping you clip everything on, that was impressive. I felt like a squire decking out a knight.
Yeah, it was really impressive to see because he's got these 2 large crates that he stores all of his armor in, and he pulls it all out. I'm thinking this is going to be a very tedious process, and I was right. It was a pain in the ass to watch this man put his armor on. But you know what though? The finished product though looks incredible, and you had hundreds of people giving you compliments because of all that work you put in.
Yeah, it's very much possible to, as I call it, gear up, by myself. It just takes a lot longer. So, just simply having you guys there, honestly cut that time in half.
We were your squires. To keep it PG,
yeah.
Because we now know after Wizard World, this was the cool thing, I ran into 5 or 6 people that watch our show, but then there were a couple people that became aware of our show because we were at Wizard World. He's like, I'm going to check this out with my son. So now we can't swear on the show because now it's officially a family show, which isn't the worst thing. Now, okay, so it was your first con, and you met John, and it was one of several cons. This is your second or third.
This was my second convention.
But you had a kick-ass experience because all the great people, cosplay looked good. I had a good experience too. My first Wizard World was back in 2014. This was my first time back. I will make this observation. It did seem a little smaller. I think that might have been related to the date shift. Traditionally, this event has been in the first weekend of April because it kind of coincided with an event that Dave and I would attend to for volunteering. So I could only make the one night. This time, though, February seems to work but I think a lot of people adjusting their schedule, they weren't able to make that adjustment. So it just seemed a little smaller in scale. Not as many comic book vendors as I was hoping for, which kind of bummed me out. But let me tell you, the artist gallery was thumping.
Oh, there was a huge section for cosplay and artists in general. I feel bad because I didn't catch a name. He was dressed as Han Solo, and he was trying to sell, some of his artwork, and he was showing me sketches that he had done at Celebration Orlando.
Yeah.
And they were phenomenal. Like, there was a lot of great, talented people there. The R2 Builders Club.
What was the R2 Builders Club was awesome.
God.
We actually did an interview with them, and before this goes any further, we had to say thank you to Steve. So Steve Hyneman he's the fourth guy behind the Blast Doors. You don't see him every week on the show, but he's the one responsible for the graphics, and he's responsible for the videos that we do with cosplay. And we got to interview Brian with the R2 Builders in St. Louis.
Yeah.
We're going to publish that interview hopefully within the next couple of days. Have a highlight video. But it was really exciting. It was funny though because I was curious. How much does it cost to make an R2 unit? These things are so intricate with just the metal work, the electrical work. I go, what's a median price? Because I'm thinking of, being like a Lego collector, for example. I would say the median price of a Star Wars Lego set is like $50 or $60. So what's the median price for an R2? He goes $1,000 to 20 grand. What? That's a pretty wide range for the median price of a R2. But it's just really fascinating. And they were talking about how they encourage builders now to just start with that static, just build that shell. And then in time you can add the electronics and you can get the head, the dome rotating, and the lights to blink, and really cool stuff. And I mentioned the art. Mustafa is an artist, and that's his first name. I want to say it's Mosa. I always get it wrong though. But Mustafa Mosa is an artist that I followed for about a year. I have like 4 comics that he's done variant covers for. And we ran into him in the artist gallery. Dave and I are walking back. I think he had a pretzel and I got a bloody nose. Midwest weather right now is janky. So anyways, we're coming back through the artist gallery, and I glance over and I see this drawing of Leia, of slave Leia from Return of the Jedi, duh. And I was like, that looks pretty legit. And I looked over and I see this drawing of Superman. I go, that looks really familiar. Well, that's because he recently has done art on the Superman line, and I just felt like an idiot for not immediately connecting the dots. So basically, David and I spent a lot of money at his booth, and I'm going to show a couple of these pieces off. The first piece is a slave Leia.
Ooh.
And I really appreciate the courage. There are.
I feel like we need a blur out.
There are not many songs. No, the privates.
It's family friendly.
The privates are covered. But I think it's a really
definitely a little
piece.
risque.
A little bit. We got this guy. We got.
Oh yeah.
Boba Fett, little Boba, little Darth Vader, little Death Star action right there, and got a TIE fighter. Oh, that's just great. And then let's see here.
You didn't tell me about that.
Well, we have Power Girl. Power Girl has really large breasts. I feel like I can say that because, you go to KFC, you get chicken breasts, and you go to the Artist Gallery at Wizard's World, and you get Power Girl's breasts. Okay. And then if you're offended by breasts, well, how about pectorals? And that's what you get with David's piece of art. David over here got this Nightwing commission, and I can't pull them out right now, but we actually got 2 more pieces, which is his Batman and his Superman, and they're joint. So they combine to be one big piece of work. So that was really cool. I just, to wrap this conversation up real quick, because I know we're kind of gushing about the event, we had an absolute blast. I'm glad that each person was able to enjoy the con for the reason they went. I wanted to go for comics and art. Mainly comics, and I ended up coming away with a lot of art. David was his first experience at a con, and he kind of took it all in. Jesse wanted to tout his cosplay, and man, did he get love for that. And so we're just very thankful to all the organizers of Wizard World, the volunteers. Jerry, who works with media, got us the ability to get access to the event, and we're excited to share with you a few stories that we're working on for our coverage. of Wizard World. That said, we need to jump into real talk right now because in the last couple of days since Super Bowl Sunday, we got not just a 45-second Han Solo a Star Wars Story teaser, but we also got a minute 45 teaser trailer. And clearly they are different. Teaser getting us excited for Monday morning, Good Morning America, where we got this teaser trailer, this minute 45 bit. But let's just first start with the teaser that we got, Super Bowl Sunday. I have to ask, did any of you watch the Super Bowl to see this teaser, or did you just catch it on the internet?
Honestly, no. I waited for the internet for it because I was like, it's going to be up there probably in the next few minutes. So
it was almost simultaneously from when it dropped.
I'm told the Super Bowl is a very important episode of football, but I ended up watching the 1966 Batman all day yesterday with my buddy Heath, and it was so much better than I could have imagined.
That's probably good use of time. It's just so campy. You and I tried to do that series once together, and it didn't go well.
No, but I thoroughly enjoy it. It's a comedy, but as a kid, I didn't see that. So as an adult, I'm laughing at every scene, and it's great.
Okay, so I watched the Super Bowl, and I'm really happy the Eagles won. But the more important thing is here that we had this teaser, and let's just go ahead real quick. David, if you can throw the teaser up on the screen. I think this was perfect. Because if you're going to wait this long to release the teaser, in the sense that you're trying to let The Last Jedi hype die down, you're trying to get people pumped for Black Panther. Now, before we see Black Panther, we're going to throw in this teaser. 45 seconds. This is 45 seconds to get us excited for the full teaser trailer out Monday morning. Keeping in mind, that's still not the full trailer we'll get. We have it here on the monitor, so I'll also pull it up here somewhere here on the screen, and we'll pull the audio up so that we can all enjoy this together. But let's watch the 45-second teaser.
So you want to make a
So that open shot of that facility.
Trust me, you're gonna love it.
This
That's
is
my favorite.
my favorite shot.
And which branch are you interested in joining?
I love these shots of the speeder race here.
That's in the galaxy.
Familiar hallway. I know what you're asking. Is that the Millennium Falcon? We'll talk about that. Emilia Clarke's character.
That was cool.
A space train. They have trains in space. He steals the show every time Glover's Lando's there.
Your name?
I liked it.
No.
I liked it. So he brings on the last scene there with Han and Chewie there. So that's the 45-second teaser. We've all watched that beforehand, but I thought it was fun to do that in the moment. Jesse, let's start with you. In under 20 seconds, what is your initial reaction to that teaser?
I went to David. The shot with the Star Destroyer kind of working its way through the nebula in space.
That was some best shot.
One of the nicest shots I've seen. I'm still leaning towards some sort of early rendition of a type bomber is what we're seeing there.
Okay, so what you're talking about is when we get that scene of the Star Destroyer coming through the nebula, there's a series of TIE fighters that come out, and one has like an extra bulb attached to it.
Yeah, it looks good. From visually, what I'm seeing does look good. So I mean, this kind of restored some hope in me for this movie. But
This was your new hope for the movie?
Yeah.
Well, we can't say that pun enough.
You're being a real Debbie Downer about this. What do you think about it? You don't like it?
I didn't like it. I didn't like the music in it. I thought the music felt very...
Synthesizer-y.
Yeah, that's a good way. It felt... Did you see Blade Runner 2049?
Yeah.
It felt very much like that, which is not what I feel when I watch a Star Wars movie.
You want the traditional orchestra sound.
I more like the traditional orchestra. Give me those French horns. Don't give me the synthesizer. This undertone of a whatever synthetic bass that is. I don't like it. I really hope that's not the theme that Williams came up with for the solo movie, since we know that he's doing just the Han Solo.
Yes, it felt very Marvelish to me, the music, but
it felt very Danny Elfman to me, and I'm not a fan.
You hate Danny Elfman so much.
He can just stay as far away from these movies.
I think visually, it's already going to be a tremendous movie.
Yeah.
Because you can see Ron Howard's work on it. And keep in mind, this is just a 45-second little teaser we got. But that shot of the destroyer coming through the nebula with the lightning surrounding it was a beautiful shot, and it reminded me, honestly, I was like, wow, that syncs so well with kind of the visual approach that we got with Rogue One. Like, it really did. It excited me right from the bat. I like the underscoring scripting, what's your name at the very end? What's your name? And it just kind of look into his eyes, throw the title card over. I thought that was good. For me, it got me hyped. We've been talking on this show. Jesse, you've been a little skeptical. David, you kind of teeter-totter. I've tried to be very positive about Solo because I'm very confident in Ron Howard. In this 45 seconds, maybe confident in his directing and his cinematography. Now you jump about 8, 9, 10, 11 hours to Good Morning America, and we get a minute 45.
Why do they always release their trailers on GMA?
Because ABC's owned by Disney.
Okay.
Are we just having this conversation? I feel like, oh wow, okay, I thought,
I knew ABC was owned by Disney, but I didn't know GMA was on ABC.
Good Morning America.
I'm a Netflix guy and an Amazon Prime guy, so I don't have these local televisions.
His friend works for a local television station, and he does not watch his friend.
You were great on the news tonight.
You watched?
No.
I did.
But I have faith that
Yeah, dude, Jesse, you actually watched me do my job. That was kind
That's
of cool.
because I actually ate dinner with my family today.
Well, you should always eat dinner with your family. Okay, so can we pull up the 145?
Yep.
So now, like I said, this came out on Good Morning America, and I woke up like an hour after it had been already dropped. So I'm assuming you already admitted you don't watch Good Morning America. You didn't watch the show, right? You just saw it on the internet?
I slept in today.
Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and I will say this. Not a lot of similar footage. This is all completely different from the stuff that we got in the teaser.
Yeah, Pookie.
I love the drum beats and distinction with the levers. He's been scamming since he was 10, so like that's cool. No, just giving background to the character.
That's a cool shot right there.
I love the chase.
Yeah.
How cool that is.
Vehicles we saw in the leaked images and Lego sets.
Notice Chewie's with him.
Now, can we? Oh, so that's the TIE fighter.
Yeah.
Now, this is a great moment here. Now, Space Octopus, I'm not sure how I feel. Alright, so that's the teaser trailer. 1 minute, 47 seconds of it. David, what do you think of that compared to the teaser?
I almost preferred the teaser trailer better than I did the actual trailer. There are a number of things that piss me off even more in the actual trailer than in the teaser itself. So we know that I didn't like the music, and that music theme still continues. It feels very Blade Runner-y, and I don't like that whatsoever. I am looking forward to some more of the flight scenes. We see a little bit more of that in the extended trailer.
Falcon's like all over the place.
Oh, they're gorgeous. I think that's going to be really, really cool. I still don't like the concept of Han being a former member of the Imperial Navy. I don't like that whatsoever.
What?
I hate it.
Why?
Why? That's been part of expanded universe
Since
for
1993. I looked this up from the Dark Empire comics in 93. Here's why I don't like it. First of all, if he was in the Navy, now he got kicked out, whether that's because he had an attitude or he didn't like it, he's no longer a scoundrel who's just trying to live his own life. Now he's running from the Imperials, from the Empire, because he's on their list. They know that he was a part of them, and now he's not. So now he's flagged. There is no reason for him to be selfish anymore because now he's running away from the Empire his entire life. On top of that, why is he so against joining the Rebel Alliance and New Hope if he's already been rebelling against the Empire from this movie until A New Hope. I don't like that whatsoever.
Well, I think you can disagree. Like, you can disagree with something that's happening and still not want to get involved with it. And, you know, if anything, look at like
look at the Trump administration. Trump administration is an
I
example.
just
Look at
feel
politics.
Like, to
look
me,
at
if he was an Imperial a pilot of some sort, now his entire motivations for me, for how he acts in A New Hope and Empire and Return of the Jedi, are completely different than if he was just a guy trying to live his life as a scoundrel, as a space pirate, without dealing with the Empire. To me, his motivations change. It changes to me who he is at his core, and I don't like it.
In a way, it kind of takes him away, because like I always kind of found when we first were introduced to DJ in Last Jedi, I kind of felt like DJ was kind of like a Han Solo, like doesn't play for his side, just in it for himself. And now when you do give him that origin story, it kind of feels like a similar situation to Luke Skywalker. It's a similar story where looking for adventure, trying to get away from it all, trying to, you know, that was a point that was brought up to me by a friend earlier today on social media, and I think it's an interesting take. I still think there's a vast amount of differences between Han and Luke as far as motivations going forward. But you know, Jesse, you see this teaser trailer. You know, what are your 3 biggest takeaways from it?
Seeing Beckett was really cool. I think he really fits the character that he's portraying. Visually, I enjoyed what I'm seeing. I am kind of with David. The music doesn't really fit.
It's rough.
Now, don't get me. I absolutely love Blade Runner 2049. The music in that fit that universe. Okay, I don't want to see that crossover into this franchise. So I kind of noticed that with some of the more Last Jedi, Rogue One. I kind of hope they tone that down. For me, it's just like kind of getting an idea of what they built, what kind of movie we're going to get, because, there's been a lot of drama for this movie. I mean, they fired the 2 directors that they started with because they were taking the movie in too much of a comedic route. So what I saw here teases a very serious movie with some hint of humor.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I think what this teaser trailer does is it gives me the confidence that they've got the spirit of Han Solo figured out. Like, what I like about Ehrenreich in this teaser trailer is that he's never trying to give you a Han Solo Harrison Ford impression, but he's got the spirit, he's got the smirk, he's kind of got the intonation of how he talks and how he emphasizes certain words, and also you're getting a Han Solo that is developing into what you get in A New Hope. So you're not going to get A New Hope Han Solo, and that's, I think, where Alden and the crew gets a lot of flexibility, and they should. I really like how he presented the spirit of Han Solo in this younger reimagining. I wouldn't want the job to make a Han Solo movie, because it's one of those central characters that there's so much investment in by so many fans.
Solo is an iconic character.
There's more ways to mess it up than do it right.
Yeah.
That's the challenge with this movie. But I would like taking what you both said. Love the visuals. You can see Ron Howard, his touch on this movie, significant enough, at least 80%. I think it looks stunning. There is that shot where you're crossing through the mountains, and there's that like kind of foggy horizon in front. Kind of reminded me of the opening to How Grinch Stole Christmas, but I'm not. I like it. Just reminded me of that. I'm not trying to make the joke here.
The Jim Carrey one?
Yeah, the Jim Carrey one. Like when you kind of cross through the mountains and it's the fog and then you dive down. Same kind of thing. But it looked really great. I love the textures, the aesthetics of this universe, right? We talked about why we like Rogue One so much. It feels lived in it. It's that gritty 1970s feel that Lucas gave us. Well, we got it here again all over the place. But I still have to say, the 2 best shots in this for me, before we go on to the next topic. The 2 best shots here, one, that destroyer going through the nebula with the lightning around him. You get that new prototype TIE fighter screeching towards you. Jesse, you think it's a bomber. I think it's some kind of patrol TIE fighter. But it's like the cockpit, and then it's got like 2 cannons next to each other, and then the wing. It's interesting. It's different.
We'll see.
Excited to see what that looks like. But that scene where Han, it's like a medium shot where it's Han's holster in the foreground, and off in the distance, it's all those thugs. We'll call them
I'm
thugs.
thinking they're maybe mercenaries of some kind.
Mercenaries. You hear the pop of the latch on the holster. There's going to be a duel with Han Solo. And how much money do you want to bet that he's going to shoot first in that duel?
Oh, I hope he does.
It's going to be awesome. I cannot wait to see that. Now, I want to know who this guy with the helmet is. I'm assuming that's the baddie in this movie, but we don't know. We don't know. There might be another baddie. But it's really cool to see that. I didn't know that there were trains in Star Wars, but apparently they are, and they're really badass. I mean, we've seen, like, train-like vehicles throughout Clone Wars, but, like, this was a choo-choo train. This was with a big fat-ass wheel right in the front, and it looked, I mean, visually, like, I'm really hyped about it. Like, I'm jacked. You should be jacked.
I'll tell you actually what the train reminded me of. There's a level in Shadows of the Empire, and there's a train on there, and it was very reminiscent of that train.
Yeah.
You know, so I was kind of excited. I like seeing that they're bringing some of the old, old lore into the movies, kind of thing.
Oh, I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. What did you like about these teasers and the did you have a thought? Did I cut you off?
No, you're good.
Okay, are you sure?
I was just gonna bitch a little bit more about the Imperial Navy thing.
No, see, I mean...
I don't like it.
Alright, well, you don't like it, I like it, and Jesse likes it.
I don't know if you caught it though, David. There's a line in the end of the trailer, you got kicked out. Now, if you got kicked out, that doesn't mean that you're a wanted man, that you got discharged.
Yes, but he got kicked out for having a mind of his own. Han Solo's not the intelligent one. That's Leia. She's the one who puts together all the plans. Han Solo's the one who gets lucky. That's kind of what he goes to. Luck.
Well, again though,
trusting his intuition.
It's not going to make him a wanted man though by the Empire. So
Kind of feel like they're trying to make him into a Star-Lord of the Star Wars galaxy. But hey, what do you think? Do you like the teaser? Do you like the teaser trailer? Let us know down in the comments below, because you're watching, or you're listening, or you're doing both somehow, some way here on YouTube. Next topic in Real Talk, 3 new planets confirmed in the Solo movie. Keeping with the same movie in mind, we knew about Corellia.
you just had to assume we were going to get Corellia because that's Han Solo's home world.
The second planet is a nod to, I guess we would call it EU. It was the original sequel to A New Hope, the original Star Wars movie, but then it got retconned and then replaced with Empire Strikes Back. Of course, that planet being
Mimban.
And what do we know about Mimban?
It's a swampy planet.
Yep.
Swampy
I like
planet.
to think it's a little reminiscent of Dagobah,
All right.
which is kind of cool.
Cool.
There's rumors that it's a black market planet. There's rumors that maybe he'll be stationed there as part of the Navy, which is awful.
You know what they say about those men in the Navy?
No, what?
Light and the loafers. Alright. Well, anything else on that planet?
No, that's about all I know about Minbin so far.
Alright, and then our third planet is Canto Bight.
No.
No, it's not.
Kessel.
It's Kessel.
Thank God. And Kessel, they have mines of spice.
Spice Mines of Kessel, people.
Spicy.
So I think that's, I mean, when you think about the worlds, I mean, 2 of the 3, no duh. We've learned about 2 of the 3 through social media and Ron Howard. Minbin is a new one, though. I think to a lot of fans. I don't think a lot of fans have read Splinter Cell or whatever that novel is.
It's Splinter of the Mind's Eye.
Yeah. I don't think many
actually-
fans have read that.
Not many. I actually have a copy of this book.
Do you really?
I do, actually.
Can I borrow that?
Yeah. You have to be gentle with it, but because
I'll be very gentle.
I've read it a number of times.
I'll be so gentle.
But it is actually a fantastic read, and I would recommend it. At the very least, assuming that they stuck to how the planet was described in that book, that's what you can maybe expect to see in the movie.
But here's what I really like about this. We know that we're getting 3 distinct planetary environments out of this movie, which is very true to Lucas's original visions for the original trilogy and the prequels. That's always what he shot for. We know he had a little comment about The Last Jedi, that there were too many locations for him, too many scene changes. So I like the fact that they're taking the formula of the movies that we all love and they're applying it to this one.
Which is funny because if you think about it, like Rogue One jumped around quite a bit too.
Yeah. There was Jen. They had the prison planet that Jen was on.
But she wasn't there long.
But you were there.
There was the planet where
Caden or Kazan.
Where Krennic picks up the family and everything. They were on that planet as moisture farmers, and then
There was the smuggler world that Cassian kills that guy on. Scarab.
I mean, if you're going scene by scene, then there's a lot more in the original trilogy. Because then we've got the Mos Eisley Spaceport, we've got
Mos Eisley.
Cantina.
Well, that's all, but we're talking about different locations.
Different scenery feelings is what he shot.
Right, planets. 3 planets. So I'm saying, like, I guess my point was, like, Rogue One had, like, 5 or 6 different planets shown. But no, I get your point, and you're absolutely right. It's a variety. Some might seem familiar. I'll be interested to see how they make Min Min different from Dagobah, because one did influence the other. So how do they make those worlds look differently? And you know what? Sometimes I don't know how many planets are in the galaxy, but I'm assuming there's a couple planets that look kind of similar. We'll find out.
It's possible.
Next topic we have on the show. Real Talk. That's the segment we're in. It's the last topic of the segment. Leland Shee. He's with Lucasfilm Story Group, and he recently confirmed that more Star Wars Legend characters are returning soon. And David, let's start with you. You recently dived into this article, and what are your biggest takeaways? If you have 3 takeaways from this article, what are you most excited about?
What I'm looking forward to is them bringing characters back from the Legends, that they're calling it now, into the movieverse. Now, I didn't get out back into canon. I didn't get outrageously deep into what's now Legends, so I'm kind of excited to see who they're going to bring back, because they're all going to be new to me. That being said, I would love more Sith, I'd love more Jedi, I'd love more saber wielding, bouncing off the walls fighting. That's what I would love to see more of, either in Filoni's next project or the next trilogy that we're getting from Rian Johnson. Give me more lightsabers.
You know, the thing about this is we're getting all this speculation off a Twitter exchange that happened recently, and basically he just said online, he's like, "You're just not going to believe." I have it right here. You wouldn't believe some of the Legends characters that will be cropping up in various media in the coming months. Hey, if Tag and Bink can show up, anything is possible. Jesse, you and I are die-hard Clone Wars fans. I keep going back to the fact that we almost had Revan in the Clone Wars, and it would be fun to see him come back in the very near future. The fans got some wins here. If you're an EU fan, you're happy because you got Thrawn in official Star Wars canon now. When you hear the idea that someone on the story group is saying, "Listen, we're digging, and you're gonna have a lot of surprises in the next couple of months," where does your mind go?
You know, I mean, obviously, Darth Revan is a very popular character from the EU. Numerous times, Dave Filoni has attempted to actually bring Revan into the Clone Wars animated cartoon at 2 different points, in fact. The first being the episode where Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Ahsoka end up kind of in another dimension with the children of the Force. The dark side child was actually supposed to be Revan, and George Lucas said no. Later on in the unfinished Clone Wars season, Yoda is hearing Qui-Gon Jinn's voice. Sorry, spoilers, people, but you should have seen it by now.
No, it's okay. Talk more to them anyways. They're over there.
So, yeah, assuming you've watched this, they actually, Filoni's idea was actually Darth Bane, who appears as a Force spirit to Yoda, was actually supposed to be Darth Revan. And again, George Lucas shot it down.
For those of you sitting at home wondering what a Darth Revan is, he was a Jedi. I just looked it up. He was a Jedi Knight turned Sith Lord who was betrayed by his own apprentice, Darth Malak. He later returns to the Jedi Order and seeks out and destroys the Star Forge, main protagonist of Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic.
Then that's why we have David with the laptop, because he can do stuff like that. That's so good.
Potentially one of the earliest mentioned Grey Jedi. Which is that's part of the reason why he's a very popular character.
He looks kind of badass on his Wikipedia page.
At the same time, Dave Filoni did get away with some Old Republic lore, actually in Star Wars Rebels, and that was the mentioning of the Mandalorian Civil War and the history behind the Darksaber. So I think with George kind of out of the picture here, it is possible. You know, we know that Dave, obviously he brought Thrawn back. Was it the assassin that we saw in this season of Rebels? I can't think of his name. A Negri assassin? I'm probably butchering that.
Oh, you're thinking of Rogue.
Yes, thank you.
But that's, yeah, I mean, yeah, he was a side character in Thrawn.
Another EU character and everything. For me, I mean, obviously, in theory, you could say Boba. And, you know, his existence into the expanded universe after Return of the Jedi, which is, at the moment, somewhat legend. It's very possible we could see that. Now, this guy isn't specifying what we're going to see.
Right, he's
could
just
be
saying...
a comic book, could be a book, could be the next show. So...
All good points, all good points. What would you like to see? What EU character do you want to see in the next coming months? Make sure you let us know in the comments below. It got late on us at the time of recording this episode, guys, so we're kind of tripping over ourselves once in a while, but we're okay. And just for the record, it is Dave Filoni. Let's jump into the next segment of our show, Pages, Pixels, Pieces, and we start with The Last Jedi novelization. It is coming out on March 6th, and the big news here is that it is going to address Han's funeral. And I guess I want us to talk about this because is Han's funeral something that could have been mentioned, should have been in Star Wars The Last Jedi? Jesse.
That's a complicated answer because...
Well, let's keep it simple because it's late.
I think that in some way it should have been referenced. And I think that in both at the end of The Force Awakens and in Last Jedi, there has been a lack. The only character to show any pain and misery or anything was Luke. And that where's Han? And then actually hearing the story, you can sense that pain in that character.
But that's all that we got, though.
That's all we got.
And he was just asking where he was.
It's insinuated that Chewie tells him what happened, and Rey tells him what happened. But honestly, we don't really see anything even from Leia, and even Chewie on some level kind of seemed a little,
You know what we do
lack
get?
of emotion.
What we do get in this movie is at the very end with the dice that Luke's force apparition or force projection hands over to Leia. Is that moment, David? Is that actually the moment where they allude to Han's passing, the dice there dissolving into the air?
I think it's what they left us in the movie. However, we do know that there is a deleted scene that they filmed of Han's memorial service. So what we're getting in these in the deleted scenes that are going to be in the novelization, we will get on the DVD, or what do they call it? The
bonus Blu-ray.
Blue thing.
Yeah.
At some point.
I don't even know why you made that joke. You knew as damn well what a Blu-ray is. Assuming that the funeral thing happens at more towards the beginning of the movie, I can't imagine that they go very far into the book and not address the funeral. Is it something that we needed to see? I think if I asked that out openly, I wanted to see it, but it doesn't make sense for how they did the movie because it's supposed to be maybe just days after Force Awakens. The First Order is marching on their front door. They're trying to evacuate. There's really not time. Like, you're dead, you're gone. You didn't really have a funeral for Obi-Wan Kenobi in A New Hope, right? Because, he died, they had aboard the ship, Luke is moping, getting caressed by Leia, and then, hey, kid, don't get cocky. You gotta blow up these TIE fighters. There's kind of a history in the Star Wars story of you have to keep moving forward because there's something coming after you. And so I think ultimately it's okay that we're not getting it. It has to be okay. We didn't get it in the movie. I think it's interesting to see the novelization, but I also get it for a lot of the fans who are like...
We only get 2 funerals in all the movies. That is Qui-Gon Jinn's funeral, and then
We get Padme.
you get Padme's
And we get
Vader burning at the end of
Darth
Return of the
Vader.
Jedi.
Well, 3, yeah, excuse me, 3.
Yep, nub.
I guess, here's my thing though. If people are going to bitch about the politics in the prequels, then don't put funerals in Star Wars, because obviously why do you want to just stand there and... although I did think the scene of burning Qui-Gon Jinn was pretty sweet. I don't know. Are we wrong? Should Am I wrong? Should they have definitely put in the funeral scene in the movie?
I think so.
Are you okay with it being in the novelization? Will you read the novelization? I don't know, but the way we do find out is if you comment down below, be sure you do that. Staying with The Last Jedi here in Pages, Pixels, and Pieces, The Last Jedi comic adaptation is on the way as well, and I gotta tell you, I'm not really excited about The Last Jedi adaptation. It's cool, right? Because right now we're days away from the Thrawn adaptation, the Thrawn novel adaptation. Getting that's gonna start up soon. We're gonna get that story in comic book form. Going back, we got The Force Awakens in comic book adaptation form, and we learned nothing new. And we got Rogue One in comic book adaptation form. We got nothing new. So if we go along that path, and we're assuming that the comic book for the Thrawn novel is going to be the same thing, is there really any reason we should be excited for The Last Jedi comic book?
Yes.
Why?
Because the first issue has porgs on the cover.
Oh God, there you go.
And that's why I'm going to purchase it. It's not going to be a long run. If it's anything like the last two movies that have come out, they were both 6-issue runs. So it's not like it's going to be another 40-run comic. It'll be quick, it'll be here, it'll be gone. We can move on with our life.
It's a really good point. It is pretty compact.
Yeah, but at the same time, I'm thinking from a certain point of view.
From a certain point of view.
Why waste the money to pay artists to have this illustrated?
Because a lot of people are going to buy it.
Because people like us will buy it.
I'm not buying it.
My point
He's
is,
buying it. I'm not.
But you can see where I'm going with this. I would rather than put that money into another project.
That's
a
true.
more meaningful project, because
Yeah.
I don't. You know what? I'll be honest with you. I'll probably just Google Han's funeral scene to see what that's about. I'm not going to buy the novel, because why do I need a novel if I can just watch the movie?
And then why do you need a comic book
And
adaptation
why do
for
I
it if you
need
have
a
the novel? Or if you have the movie?
Exactly. Why are we getting two different prints of the same thing? I know they've kind of done this with other movies and everything. I get that, but I've always seen it as a waste of time and money. Put that effort elsewhere.
But it's sold to the consumer as this is something new. You have to have it. We're gonna have variant covers for it. This is something to get excited about. Collect them all. Is it in a way? I mean, we seem to have the mentality that we think that they're ripping us off and we're not going to invest in it. But are they taking advantage of the consumer, the collectors out there that will buy up every comic issue?
I think part of it they are, but I want to see what happens when they come out with it. Because right now we've got the Star Wars line, which I don't think any of us are outrageously excited for the plot. We have the Star Wars Forces of Destiny. I don't know if you've read any of that, but they're terrible. We have the Dr. Aphra line, which we're not quite sure why they're focusing on her as a character. We have the Poe Dameron line, which has been meh. Is the main Star Wars line the one with the faces we don't like?
Yeah.
So right now...
You haven't mentioned Vader.
So right now we've got 6 different Star Wars lines out there, and the only one that we really enjoy is Vader. So maybe this 6-issue, potentially 6-issue run will be something that'll pique our interest in terms of art and story content. So I don't know.
I think that's fair.
And I've been hypercritical on everything Star Wars for the last 2 months, I feel.
I feel like we can't be too hypercritical about Aphra though, because there is a huge fandom that loves that series. It might not resonate with us, but people love Dr. Aphra. Do you?
I liked her in the 2015 Vader run.
Right.
I don't think she necessarily needed her own line.
See, I agree with that, but let me tell. I mean, I think there's a lot of readers, both male and female. I don't think it's a gender thing. I think there's a lot of fans that really enjoy what that character is. But I'm with you. I'm not following the main line. But very interesting to hear that. I'm surprised that you're in favor. I'm glad you're going to check it out. I'm kind of surprised that you and I are on the same page about kind of feeling ripped off here by the storytelling group.
I totally think it's a cash grab.
Oh, you do?
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah, and it's just like I said.
But I'm going to fall for it.
Oh, okay. Well, at least you admit it.
Dave's got a point. It's the collectors that's an awesome cover. I don't care for the story, but maybe the cover, it looks great.
Okay, awesome. Okay, I can roll with that.
But
if you have thoughts about the comic adaptation, and I'm thinking about, we have so many people in the comic book community on YouTube that follow our show. I would love to know what you guys think about, and girls. I want to know what anyone thinks about this comic adaptation of the movie. Are you going to go pick it up? Are the variant covers enticing you? Is it the artwork that's enticing you? You're not going to get a different story here. You know what happens. let us know in the comments below. Last topic for Pages, Pixels, and Pieces right now, though, is a new comic that hit bookshelves last week. And that's DJ. What, DJ Most Wanted Part 1 is what it's called?
Did you read this?
I read it.
All of it?
Yeah, I did. It starts out, Canto Bight, our favorite planet in the galaxy. And you know what? Let's have some fun with this. I want to have some. David, give us the synopsis of Part 1. Spoilers, in case you're worried. Spoilers. Tell us what happens in Part 1.
So, we're in Canto Bight Casino, and DJ is having an argument with a droid because he's apparently got nothing better to do. And then he gambles, and he doesn't listen to the droid, and he loses, and then he starts winning, and then his winning pisses people off, and then he gets into a fight, and then he runs away, and then there's a car chase, and then he gets caught and thrown in prison, and this was not worth my time.
It's really frustrating.
Nothing happened. All he did was get caught and thrown in the prison. All this was a setup for the 5 minutes leading up to the point where he's wearing his boots around his neck talking to Rose and Finn.
I'm really disappointed because I was hoping that DJ Most Wanted would be a more adult comic book in the sense that it would be for the 17, 18, 30, 40-year-olds because you have this gruff character that you get in The Last Jedi. He supposedly has this history, this reputation. He plays both sides. He somehow hoodwinks the Resistance, somehow hoodwinks the First Order. I wanted it to be kind of gritty. I felt like the artwork in particular was very computer, like webcomic-y.
But
Webcomic-y, is that fair?
It didn't piss me off like the main Star Wars line did.
Okay.
So I'll take the artwork. I'll be okay with the artwork.
It just felt, it felt, I don't know, to me it felt very webcomic-y, and that always kind of takes me out. But as far as the story, yeah, we don't go anywhere, and it's just hanging out in Canto Bight, which, Jesse, I know that it's your favorite place in the world.
You know, it's not so much the planet itself that bothers me. Like, it makes sense. There would be that kind of place in the galaxy. However, I was actually really disappointed with the character DJ overall.
You hated the stutter.
I really did. And I feel that because
A lot of people have stutters, and Jesse hates you too.
You know, I feel like, you know, Del Toro, he did, for what it was, he played the part, he did it well, okay, as an actor. I'm talking about the actual character itself, I did not find enjoyable.
And did that character need a comic of its own?
No.
Why do we need that? I think if you're going to do anything, and I understand that you gave Rose and her sister a book already, but, like, give that character a comic short where you investigate that relationship with her sister. Or, like, give me something better about Crate than what we got, because the Crate story comic was awful.
Yeah, Rose's sister seemed a lot cooler than Rose herself. I'm sorry for that actor.
Paige was a badass. Drove the bomber, dropped those magnetically forced bombs on the Dreadnought.
Right, because
you know, like,
that's how space
those
works.
magnetic injected pulsating bombs.
You know, my point is just like that's a character I want to know more about. What, you know, she died bravely, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah, DJ, you're just.
But
we're selling you, babe. This isn't blast or stash it, but we're blasting you. You know what? Let's just go into it. Blast or stash it. That's the next segment of the show, and we only have one topic in this one. And you know what? Very rarely do we reference Saturday Night Live, but this week we're gonna do it because Natalie Portman was guest host, and she had a rap skit.
And it was not good.
It was not good, and it was shots fired at. Was it shots fired at the Phantom Menace? It was in defense of, right? How would you describe it? Because it's Portman kind of going through her career and a lot of profanity. This was a skit written by Lonely Island, and
you can expect profanity in that. So
they asked her if, which I mean, I'm all about swearing, just not on the show anymore because it's family friendly. But you know, Natalie gets asked, you know, what she thinks of the new Star Wars, and the guy's like, oh, it's a lot better than the, and then she's like, well, better than what? And then she's like in this like Queen Amidala garb with a gun hanging out, and you know, here's what we're blasting or stashing. Blast it or stash it. This is a good move for Natalie to do in a way to crap on the prequels. Because this is not anything that's going to motivate me to... Like, this is not in defense of. It's clearly a skit about how terrible Jar Jar was.
If they were going to poke fun at the prequels, this is not how I would do it.
Yeah.
I don't need a joke about Jar Jar having 17 reproductive organs.
Well, that was really well censored, family friendly.
If he did, he would have been a lot more popular of a character among certain demographics.
Especially over in Japan. We're talking about tentacle porn. Alright, that's not family friendly. Can't skip that part. Yeah, it was garbage. It was pretty bad. And it's really disappointing too, because like there were a lot of reports, Jesse, that Natalie Portman was kind of difficult to work with on set of 2, and especially Revenge of the Sith. And there was George made adaptations to the story because of how difficult Natalie Portman was. Is it kind of painful to kind of see her in a way kind of like crap on the prequels like this? Because it is all a joke about how bad they actually are, which I don't think they are. I'm a prequelist.
The thing is that we know that some of the other actors, Ewan McGregor, has expressed some dismay about how the prequels turned out. That the bad flack that they got for it, and it's just kind of like, in retrospect, if you really look at it, there is a lot of great elements in those movies. Yes, maybe some of the writing was stale. You can sit there all day and point out the wrongs in the prequels. There's a lot of things they got right, though. So, I mean, I really don't think it was appropriate because, I'll be honest with you, for the prequels, Natalie who? I'm sorry, but Natalie who?
Yeah, they kind of made her.
You got your career took off because of Star Wars. Okay. And maybe that's a little harsh, but I think you should be a little bit more thankful. And maybe this was just all in good fun.
I think it was. It just wasn't funny. I guess that's the point
I didn't find it funny because you're mixing very adult comments in with a character that is seen as a role model by children.
Oh yeah.
If they were funny, but this just. I don't know. I
mean, Lonely Island, I knew what to expect out of it, but it's just one of those things where I don't think she should have done it. The language, the vocab, just as a whole, I don't think was good PR on her part. It wasn't good towards...
I'm surprised that they were allowed to do the bit.
Yeah.
I'm really surprised. I wonder if they just... how do they... Because they can parody it, but, in years past with George Lucas with Robot Chicken, for example, they would ask him for permission and he would actually collaborate on some of the humor. He liked that stuff. But I wonder if Disney was asked, hey, can we do this? And, I don't know. I'm curious. I don't know. Did you like it? Do you think that we have sticks up our butts and we need to loosen up a little bit and we should just enjoy this comedy? Let us know down in the comments below.
I just think it wasn't very tasteful.
But you know what is tasteful?
The
Fan Comlink tastes so good. So damn good. And you know what? Insane Soul Brandon hit us up this week and had 5 questions that he crammed into one tweet. So David, you had that pulled up. What did he ask and all that?
Do you want all the questions?
Yeah, just read the whole thing.
What are those tribal creatures we see? Talking about the trailer. Mm-hmm. Did I see a new TIE fighter? How are you guys feeling about the movie now? I've been so excited just to get a new Star Wars film, let alone one that features Donald Glover.
Insane Soul with the question here on the Fan Comlink here on Beyond the Blast Doors. Brandon, thank you so much for reaching out to us. A series of really great questions. And let's just kind of go round table with this. And let's start. He asked about what are those creatures or those thugs. What was the first question? How was that?
What are those tribal creatures?
So tribal creatures. So earlier in the show, we talked about this. Jesse, we think they're mercenaries. We got leaked images of Lego sets a couple of months ago. And they seem to be possibly connected. Their ringleader seems to be on the hunt for Han Solo. He's part of that speeder chase here. Do you think it's going to be a significant role, or do you think it's just they're going to be early on? They're going to be the early on issue that Han has to get himself out of, or will they be a persistent problem in the movie?
Because I've nitpicked the teaser, I nitpicked the trailer earlier today. I think potentially that these are some sort of mercenaries. They could be a group of bounty hunters. Extremely possible. One thing I'd like to point out, there is a very interesting similarity between the knee armor on this individual and that of a Mandalorian knee pad. Of course, that doesn't mean, hey, this guy just didn't pick it up from somewhere, but definitely, I mean, we see the kind of like the glimpse of a showdown, and then we see one of these guys on top of a train. So we know that they're in the pursuing business of some kind.
And I'm nervous about that scene too, because it's like how they stay on the train. I don't know. We're gonna have to see that. I'm gonna have to see how that plays out. I'm skeptical of that sequence.
I'm gonna say they're most likely mercenaries or bounty hunters of some kind. That's gonna be my vote on that.
David, what's the second question that he asked on there?
Did I see a new TIE fighter? I would say this is set in the past from where we are after episode 8, so I'd say you're seeing an old TIE fighter.
You smart mouth. Okay, we do see that prototype, and we talked about it a little bit before, David. Jesse, you think it's a bomber. What do you think? Is this a pre-TIE fighter? Or is this?
I think it's got a twin ion engine.
Okay.
Of some sort, and probably a pilot sits inside it.
Oh gosh.
Stab in the dark. It fires lasers of some sort.
Okay, I'm gonna say it's a patrol TIE fighter, like it's a prototype. I think it's gonna be like sector specific, right? Because how to come this ship exists here, but we don't see it there. It's either a prototype for the bomber, but I'm still seeing like two turrets, like one up top and one up bottom of that like second little ball thing. So I'm wondering if it's like a patrol fighter or like a sector. I don't know. I don't think it's a bomber, and I don't think it has defensive shields. I think it's a pretty flimsy ship that probably didn't have a long career with the Imperial Navy.
Well, I mean, what we do know of the time-wise, the Empire seems to be experimenting with new fighter builds.
Yeah.
And Rebels, you get the prototype for the TIE Advance.
Yep.
Which is the precursor to Vader's, TIE fighter. I believe it's the TIE Defender that we see in Rebels, which has got 3 wing solar panels and everything. Mm-hmm. This has to be. I feel like this is some sort of prototype. Again, I feel like it could be a precursor, model to the more modern TIE bomber.
Oh, quite frank, I don't even remember what it looks like, so I'm pulling it back up.
No, that's fine. The wing, TIE cockpit, a little ball thing.
How specific?
Again,
with a blaster here.
Timeline-wise, we know that this is taking place at least 10 years, prior to A New Hope. We know that Rebels is kind of ending maybe 2 years, 3 years before New Hope. So
I think the Han Solo movie is happening before the Rebels.
Yeah.
Before the Rebels,
definitely.
for sure. Third part of that tweet.
Third part of that tweet. Oh, you're gonna make me miss it.
You can go back. It's fine.
It is. How are you guys feeling about the movie now?
Okay, so just to kind of recap, Jesse, your interest has gone up.
My interest has definitely gone up. I was, it's been a roller coaster ride because this got announced. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm on board for this. I want to see this. Then they announced who they had directing it, and that didn't really sit well with me because these are 2 guys who write comedy movies.
And I said the same thing then. I don't care because the Russo brothers did comedy and TV, and they've given us Captain America Civil War, Winter Soldier, and they're doing Infinity Wars. And they crush it. So I censored myself because we're family friendly.
Again, I'm not really... I enjoy the Marvel movies, but I'm not huge into Marvel comics.
I know, but my point is the fact that comedy people went in and did a serious film.
So, and then the rumor had it that they were fired because the movie was actually taking on too much humor, which I find kind of hilarious how Last Jedi turned out, but that's a different story.
A cluster? Oh wait, censoring myself because we're family friendly. Yeah.
So at this point, though, just seeing these trailers and everything, visually, it's got that gritty feel, which Rogue One kind of had that gritty feel, and that made me excited for Rogue One. And then seeing Beckett, and I was just kind of getting how that actor, looks and everything, and how he was acting in the trailer. he kind of had a serious kind of vibe to him, and I enjoyed that.
All good points, David. You're not really sold on this movie.
So I think the TIE fighter looks kind of cool with the little splotch of red in the middle of it.
Yep.
Are we still at that part?
Sure.
Okay.
All right. So that's how you feel about the movie, huh?
Yep.
All right. Cool. Be excited for this movie. I think the teaser and the teaser trailer have proven to us that we should be excited for this movie. Ron Howard visually has delivered a thrilling adventure. I think what we're going to see with Alden Ehrenreich is the spirit capture. And we haven't talked about Donald Glover's Lando enough. The truth of the matter is, every time that character pops up on screen, steals your attention. You forget that it's a solo movie, and you think it's a Lando movie. I think Donald Glover is going to deliver some lines that will go down as some of the most memorable in Star Wars lore. I am feeling very confident. He's got that smirk, that smile down. He's got the suaveness. He honestly looks like a space pimp with that bear jacket on at the one point. But make no mistake,
Lando's been a fashionable character.
we have so many questions moving forward. I'm thinking of, how is this Amelia Clarke character going to be involved? Is this a person of high society that is somehow connected to Han Solo? Is it a princess? Is this princess give him a bad taste, and that's why he doesn't like Leia initially? What's her role in this? Thandie Newton's character, is this Han Solo? Is it?
I'll have to see, Dave.
A serious question. Let's not leave it at that. Sana in the comic books arrives on scene saying that she's Han Solo's wife. Now, we come to learn that she's not, but are we about to see a comic book a character introduced in the comics brought into a movie, brought into a standalone movie? That's bold, considering the fact that they didn't do it for Thrawn. I can think of a few characters that I would love to see from the Clone Wars brought to the screen that we probably won't get. Ahsoka Tano. So I think it will be very interesting to see if Thandie Newton's character is in fact Sana. It will be very interesting to see. Really looking forward to that. And what are your thoughts? You let us know in the comments below. You can always hit us up on Facebook and Twitter. Instagram, that's where we exist. And we also exist in our next segment, Staying on Target, which is always the last segment of our show. And real quick, guys, Red Robin, David, let's start with you. Comlink, or not Comlink, what's your targeting system locked on?
So after the Wizard World this weekend, when we were driving home, we were talking about I still have a bag of plumbing equipment sitting on my countertop from last June when Jesse took us shopping to buy stuff for a homemade lightsaber. So either I'm putting this in my toilet where the plumbing equipment belongs, not that I know how to do that.
There's snow on the ground. We can't build outside right now.
Oh, are we waiting to build outside?
Well, we have to, right?
We have to.
Why?
Paint.
Oh.
There is a little bit of painting involved.
We're not doing this in my apartment.
We
already do the show here, but... No.
Yeah.
What's on your staying targeting system?
For me, we got Rebels coming up towards the end of the month.
We're about like a week and a half away.
Yeah.
It's not at the end of the month, it's next week.
Of course, I still have cosplay kind of on the brain. There's, as I mentioned earlier, there's a few elements on my kit that I would like to adjust and make amends and everything. Other than that, just trying to relax, I guess. Kind of recoup and everything. I've been on vacation the past few days, so that's kind of relaxing, and just having a good time has been kind of my main target.
Cool. My staying on target this week is the Star Wars 40th Anniversary comic book covers. I have exactly 75% of those covers. I need to track them down. Here's the problem. Here's the real thing. My targeting system had to get switched off of that because it got switched onto my tax return. And my taxes are filed. And I'm going to get a lot of money back from the government. And it's going to allow me to pay off all the bills that I need to pay off. And then my targeting system goes back on those 40th Anniversary covers. And I hope to have those by the end of March. So I'm pretty excited over here. Because I want them really bad.
You're going to kill the shelf.
We are concerned this shelf is going to fall apart.
It's literally, you can't see it on screen. It is definitely slanting in a dangerous way.
Well, I threw those books that way, and I think it's kind of transitioned away. But the point is, it's episode 27 of Beyond the Blast Doors, and we're really glad that you joined us to watch this. It was a struggle. We got to be honest with you. Our audio mixer died. We're recording off of one microphone.
These don't work.
They're not working right now. But you know what? Thank you for having patience with us. Thanks for listening in. Be sure you comment down below. Tell us what's on your mind when it comes to Star Wars, and we'll be sure to include that on next week's episode. We'll see you soon.